This weapon? Oh, I like this weapon. You'll like this weapon too. This weapon lays out all the enemies. Doesn't have to be Corpus either. Could be any enemy. But enough about that. Roll the opening. Ah yes, the Gammacore. The weapon that dazzles every newbie. And could you blame them? Who wouldn't want a wrist-mounted laser? It's awesome. But it's not quite the reality. It's a pretty average weapon. Is what my opinion's going to be, but however, there's more than one Gammacore. But yes, for the Gammacore, it is an elemental-based weapon. Only does magnetic damage, but it is also a laser. The tropes about being a laser is it's 100% accurate. A laser is always a strong, straight point from point A to point B. It will always hit the same point every time. So it's just as accurate as you are. But there are a few problems, and there are a few positives. But we'll go over that. But across the board, the stats are okay at best. In terms for building this weapon, well, it's not too pricey, but I wouldn't say the beginners can build it right away because of the argon crystals is a requirement. Not to mention it costs quite a bit of circuits and plastids. Is it worth it though? I like to think so at least. It is a very fun weapon to use, and with the laser as I mentioned earlier, it is a very accurate weapon. As it's 100% right on the dot, so if you miss your opponent, it's your fault, not the guns. But in terms of firepower, it could be a little bit better. There's maybe a level 0, but this is a level 8 of enemies, Corpus. And it is a bit mediocre. But we can increase the firepower very easily. But however, there's another problem. Range. All laser weapons have a fixed range. And this one's around 40 meters or so. So if your enemy's outside 40 meters, you'll not be able to hit them at all. That is the big negative trope about this weapon. But that goes for all laser weapons in general. Now my level 30 build is a little different. I didn't bother to put it on too much, so I managed to squeeze in a hard strike and a deep freeze since the polarity matched. You can't really put much else there. And plus a trick mag, because you'll need lots of ammo. Now this increases damage quite a bit. When we start at 50, we now almost putting out 300 damage. Most of it built up in magnetic. So I'll get me quite a bit more damage out of this thing. And of course it would benefit from formas, but I'm here to only show you what you can do with it basically, so you can judge if you want it or not. Now, with it upgraded firepower, we still suffer from the same problem of range, so if any opponents are outside of my range, I gotta switch targets or close the range. But it's still quite a powerful weapon. Level 30, this easily wipes out enemies level 28 or so. I have no problems using this. Not to mention, it's also excellent for cutting through nullifier bubbles. Very quick, and very stable, and pretty much easy to use still. That's one of the big tropes, big positives on this weapon, is how easy it is to use. Now, in a more controlled environment, I went against 20 MOAs at level 35, because I believe that's where it would hold up. And sure enough, I was right. If these were level 40, it would no longer do the job right. At level 35, it just barely gets the job done. But then again, this is still just 0 formas and a single built Gammacore. I don't expect it to go as higher than other weapons. It's still an intermediate weapon. It's not endgame. At least not this version of the Gammacore. But in terms of usability, still extremely recommended for how easy it is. Because a lot of people don't use their secondaries because either they're flimsy, they lack firepower, or they're just not very accurate. Maybe there's not enough ammo. This weapon kind of fixes a couple of problems of that. At least not the firepower one, but everything else is fixed. Minus the range as well. Because remember, 40 meters. That's your range. So in terms of fighting off a huge group, probably not a good idea, because this is a single fight-to-fight weapon. You don't fire the whole group, you kind of fire an individual and kill that individual in the group. But no matter, still gets the job done. If not quickly, it will. But anyway, next version is the Synoid Gammacore. The Synoid Gammacore is a version you get from the syndicates. So you gotta trade it for the players, or get it from the syndicate that offers it, the Cephalon Suda. Now, this one's a bit strange because the damage is almost halved. However, the fire rate's been tripled and so is your magazine. The status is boosted up to 20% too, so it's elemental weapon now. Like, it can actually hit elemental procs very frequently. So this is a DPS weapon. Very different from the original. Just not a very straightforward upgrade. It's a change in nature. With that change in nature comes a lot of different properties you gotta keep account for. Is it better? That's debatable, actually. If it's better or not. In terms of trying to get it, I'm not sure it'd be worth your effort or not. You really have to love this weapon. Because the damage is easily made up in the DPS, and you can lay out opponents, but you must notice now that my ammunition is being drained very, very quickly. It's because my magazine's tripled. Doesn't mean I can hold on to the ammo. And that's the problem with this weapon. It's ammo consumption. That you can go through it very quickly. In terms of destroying enemies, it does just even better of a job than playing Gammacore. But you are losing a lot of ammo in the process. And still the range is still a problem. But good damage plus the Syndicate explosions. Now I build this weapon a little weird, but I believe it's to be best. From a basic level 30 perspective, I took off my Horde Strike, put on a Barrel Diffusion. With it I can get the Trick Mag in a Deep Freeze and Convulsion. This makes up the damage while being able to spread myself out over 30 points. Of course, there's a benefit a lot from a form or two, but I believe this is the best course I can get with it, and I can actually get quite a bit of damage out of it, despite it being half the damage of the original. Now, again, I took it against the same opponents, the same MOAs, and you can easily see the damage. Even though I'm doing less damage from the original, I'm killing them much quicker. But even though I'm killing them much quicker, I am using up a lot of ammo in the process. So in terms of which one you think is better, that is entirely up to you. Whether you prefer the more firepower but less ammo, or more ammo less firepower, that's entirely up to you. It could be your preference, but that is the trade-off. Both weapons have the same negative tropes of range and single opponents, but their firepower and ammo are pretty much flipped. That's the best way to view it, but though the Syndicate does have its little gun explosion thing. But anyway, time for pros and cons. For the pro side of the Gammacore, we got solid damage. You got very easy to use, pretty compact. And also, pretty much stable ammo consumption compared to its other version. And since it's a laser, it's extremely accurate. On the con side, however, the damage is not meant for endgame. The range, since it's a laser, it only has 40-meter range. And the other stats could be better. Not really much of a critical build or elemental build. Now, for the Synoid Gammacore, a little different. The pros are, we got extremely high DPS. It's also got excellent vault status build. Its accuracy is also extremely well since it's laser. And it has the Syndicate explosion. I don't really know what's a good name to call that, but anyway. On the con side, however, we got, again, the laser being ranged at 40 meters. It also has a very high ammo consumption. And you can only get it through trading with other people or getting from your respective syndicate, so the price isn't called into question if it's really worth it. But that is the cons for the Synoid Gammacore. And also the showcase for today. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.